Welcome to the Deep Dive broadcast.
Hello.
Today, we are plunging into something absolutely fundamental, really core, to every single business out there. It's the hidden engine room, isn't it?
It really is. The nuts and bolts, the how things actually get made or how services get delivered. We're peeling back the curtain on business operations.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're maybe in grade 9 or year 10, and perhaps thinking about the IGCSE Business at Excel course, well, this deep dive is absolutely for you.
Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to give you a clear, simple, and hopefully really interesting preview of what Unit 5 of that course covers.
Yeah, we want to show you not just what business operations is, but why understanding it is so important for making sense of, well, everything around you, the shops you go into, the apps on your phone.
The food you eat, it's all shaped by these operational decisions.
It really is. So think of business operations as how businesses turn resources, like ingredients or skills, into the products and services we all use.
It's about deciding what to make, how much, what you need, ensuring it's good quality, doing it efficiently, all that practical stuff.
It's the, okay, great idea, now how do we actually do it part? How do we make that pizza, get the right pepperoni, bake it perfectly every time, and get it to the customer hot? That's operations.
Good to put it better. So let's kick things off maybe with the big picture, operations and production management.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Well, at its heart, operations management is just about organizing and overseeing all the processes that create goods and services, coordinating everything needed.
Okay, and I know a really key idea here, especially when a business grows, is this thing called economies of scale and diseconomies.
Ah, yes. Crucial concept. So when a business increases its scale, basically gets bigger, produces more stuff, something interesting happens.
Go on.
The average cost of making each individual item can actually fall. That's economies of scale.
Okay, hang on. The average cost goes down just by getting bigger. How does that work?
Yeah.
Seems a bit
Backwards. It does feel counterintuitive at first, but think about your own shopping. If you buy a massive family-sized box of cereal, the cost per bowl is way cheaper than buying those tiny single-serving boxes, right?
Yeah, the bulk discount effect. Okay, I get that. So businesses get similar advantages.
Exactly. And the savings can come from inside the business itself. We call those internal economies of scale.
Right, so like the bulk buying example.
Precisely. That's purchasing economies. Big firms buy materials in huge volumes, so they can negotiate much lower prices from their suppliers than a small shop could. Think supermarkets versus corner shops buying cans of beans.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, spreading costs maybe.
Spot on. Marketing economies. Imagine a giant company like Nike running a global TV ad campaign. That massive cost gets spread over millions and millions of shoes sold worldwide. So the advertising cost per shoe is tiny.
Whereas a small local shoe brand running the same ad would have a huge cost per shoe because they sell so few. Got it.
Then there's technical economies. Bigger companies can afford to invest in really specialized, often automated machinery. It's expensive up front, but it can churn out products so fast and efficiently that the cost per unit plummets.
Like a big car factory's robotic assembly line versus someone building a car by hand.
Exactly. And financial economies. Banks generally see large established companies as less risky, so they can often get bigger loans more easily and, crucially, at lower interest rates than small startups. Cheaper borrowing means lower costs.
Right, cheaper money is always good. What about managing everything?
That leads to managerial economies. Large firms can afford to hire specialist managers, experts just in finance or just in marketing or production. These specialists are usually more efficient in their area than, say, one owner-manager in a small business trying to juggle everything.
So expertise leads to efficiency. Makes sense. Is there one more?
Yes, risk-bearing economies. Think about a company like Unilever. They sell hundreds of different products in markets all over the world. If one product line isn't doing well, or one country's economy slumps, the success of their other products and markets can cushion the blow.
Whereas a small company selling just one thing in one town is much more exposed if things go wrong.
Much more risk, yeah.
Okay, so growing bigger clearly has some major cost advantages. But you mentioned diseconomies of scale, too.
Yeah.
The flip side.
It is the flip side. This happens when a business gets, well, maybe too big. Beyond a certain point, growing larger can actually make it less efficient, and the average cost per item starts to creep back up.
Really? So being massive isn't always best. Why would it get less efficient?
Several reasons. A big one is bureaucracy. Too many rules, too many forms to fill in, too many layers of management. Decisions can take ages, communication gets clogged up. It just slows everything down and adds cost.
Like needing endless approvals just for a small change. I can see how that inefficiency adds up across a huge company.
Totally. And then there are potential labor relations issues. When you've got thousands of employees, maybe spread across different sites or countries, it's just harder to communicate effectively. Misunderstandings happen, it's harder to keep everyone motivated, maybe disputes arise, all causing disruption and cost.
Keeping everyone on the same page must be a nightmare.
And just generally, control and coordination problems. Imagine trying to manage a vast, complex global business. It's incredibly difficult for the top bosses to really know what's going on everywhere, to keep standards consistent, to coordinate all the different parts. Things can get missed. Mistakes happen.
So there's kind of sweet spot for size. Big enough for the benefits, but not so huge it becomes unwieldy.
That's the challenge for many businesses, finding that optimal scale. And remember, we also need to think about external economies of scale.
External. So benefits from outside the firm itself.
Yeah, these are cost savings that arise because the whole industry or the local area grows, benefiting lots of businesses there.
Okay, like what?
Well, imagine lots of software companies setting up in one city, like Silicon Valley. Local universities might start offering specialized coding courses. That creates a pool of skilled workers right there, making it easier and cheaper for all those tech firms to hire the people they need.
Ah, so the area becomes a magnet for talent, which helps everyone.
Exactly. Or improved infrastructure. If an area booms with business, you might see investment in better roads, faster broadband, more reliable power. That helps all the local companies cut transport or communication costs.
The better roads mean quicker deliveries. Makes sense.
And you might get specialist suppliers setting up nearby. If there's a cluster of car factories, companies making specialized parts like seats or tires might move in close by, making it cheaper and faster for the car makers to get components.
Right, a whole ecosystem develops.
Yeah. And sometimes businesses might even cooperate on things like research, sharing the costs and benefits.
Fascinating. So scale isn't just about your own size, but also what's happening around you. Okay, let's shift focus a bit. We've talked size, now how about the tools? Technology in production.
Technology. A massive factor, obviously. It doesn't just speed things up, it fundamentally changes how things are made and even what can be made.
How does that look across different types of industries?
Well, even in primary industries like farming, you've got high-tech stuff, GPS-guided tractors, drones monitoring crops, sophisticated irrigation systems.
And in manufacturing? Secondary industries.
Oh, huge impact. Robotics is everywhere, welding car bodies, assembling electronics, packing goods, and computer software is key. You've got CAD.
Computer-aided design.
Yeah, for designing products digitally, and CAM, computer-aided manufacturing, where computers actually control the machines doing the making.
So computers designing and building. What about services, the tertiary sector?
Absolutely everywhere. Think banking ATMs, online banking, mobile apps mean fewer physical bank branches are needed. Shops use electronic payment systems, EFT POS.
The card machines.
Exactly. And e-commerce, selling online, has totally transformed retail. Market researchers use powerful software to analyze customer data, online advertising. It's endless.
Technology really does change the game operationally. So what are the main benefits for businesses using it?
Well, the big ones are usually higher productivity and making more stuff with the same resources, which lowers costs. Often less waste because machines can be very precise.
Good point.
It can make workplaces safer too if robots handle dangerous tasks. And generally, it improves communication and makes certain tasks easier.
Sounds pretty great. But there must be downsides too. It can't be perfect.
Oh, definitely not. The biggest hurdle is often the cost. Buying and installing cutting-edge technology can be incredibly expensive.
Huge investment.
Massive. And technology breaks down. If a key robot on an assembly line stops, the whole production might grind to a halt. Then there's the impact on jobs. Automation can mean fewer jobs for people, which is a big social issue.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Plus, you need to train staff to use and maintain the new tech, which costs time and money. And sometimes, highly automated systems can be quite inflexible. If you want to suddenly change the product design slightly, reprogramming everything can be complex and slow.
So it's a real balancing act, weighing up the efficiency gains against the massive costs, the risk of breakdowns, the impact on workers, and maybe losing some flexibility.
It's a huge strategic decision for any business.
Okay, so we've got scale, we've got technology. What about the absolute basics? What do businesses actually use to produce anything? The factors of production.
Yes, the fundamental building blocks. Traditionally, there are 4 key factors you need.
Okay, let's break them down. First up, land. That's just the ground, right?
It's more than just the physical plot of land. It includes all natural resources used in production. So minerals from the ground, forests, water, fish from the sea, even things like climate or a specific location's advantage. It's everything nature provides.
And the payment for using land is rent.
Okay.
What's next?
Labor. This is the human element, the physical work, the mental effort, the skills and knowledge that people contribute to production.
And the payment for labor is wages or salaries. Simple enough. Third, capital. Is this just money?
The common confusion. No, money itself isn't capital in this sense, though you need money to buy capital. Capital refers to the man-made resources that are used to produce other goods and services.
Man-made resources? Like what?
Think factories, machines, tools, computers, delivery vans, office buildings, even stocks of raw materials ready to be used. All the physical stuff made by humans to help production.
Got it. Tools, equipment, buildings, and the payment for capital is interest. Okay, one left.
Enterprise. This is the crucial ingredient brought by the entrepreneur. It's the person who has the initial idea, who takes the initiative to gather and organize the other 3 factors. Land, labor, and capital makes the key decisions and, importantly, bears the financial risk of the whole venture.
The driving force. And their reward, if it works out, is profit.
Exactly. Land, labor, capital, enterprise. The 4 essentials.
Now, businesses use labor and capital in different mixes, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. They can choose production methods that rely more heavily on people or more heavily on machines. This leads to 2 broad approaches, labor-intensive and capital-intensive production.
Labor-intensive means more people, fewer machines.
Relatively speaking, yes. You see this often with unique, handcrafted items, bespoke services, or in places where labor costs are relatively low. The advantage is flexibility. People can adapt easily. It can also be cheaper to start up on a small scale.
Downsides.
Well, managing lots of people can be complex, consistency might vary if skills differ, and it can be slower and more expensive per unit for large quantities.
Okay, and capital intensive. More machines, fewer people.
That's the one. Think mass production cars, electronics, processed food. It uses a lot of machinery and automation relative to the number of workers. It's incredibly efficient for producing huge volumes of standardized goods very consistently. Machines don't get tired or have off days, but the initial setup cost is enormous. Breakdowns can be catastrophic, stopping everything, and it's generally very inflexible. Changing the production line to make something different is a major, costly undertaking.
So the choice depends on what you're making, how many you need, and the relative costs of people versus machines in your location. Right. Let's move on to part 2, the actual methods of production.
Okay, so how do businesses actually structure the process of turning inputs into outputs? The course covers 3 main methods.
First one, job production. Sounds specific.
It is. Job production means making unique, one-off items tailored specifically to what an individual customer wants. Think a custom-built house, a bespoke suit, a commissioned painting, maybe even a complex consulting project.
So high quality, highly customized, probably expensive.
Usually, yes. It's very labor-intensive, often requiring highly skilled workers who might see a project through from start to finish, which can be very motivating for them. But it's generally slow and costly per unit.
Okay. Method 2, batch production, like cookies.
Exactly like cookies. You make a group or batch of identical products. Then you might clean down the equipment, change the settings or ingredients, and make a batch of something else. Bakeries are a classic example, but also things like clothing manufacturing, a batch of medium blue shirts, then a batch of large red ones, or producing components.
So you get some efficiency compared to job production because you're making multiples, but you still keep some variety.
That's the idea. It allows for variety, costs are lower than job production for the volume, and workers can specialize a bit within the batch process.
Any drawbacks?
Well, there's downtime when switching between batches. You also build up stocks of finished goods from each batch, which costs money to store. And the work can be more repetitive than job production, potentially less motivating.
Right. And the third method, flow production. Sounds like it just keeps going.
Pretty much. This is large-scale, continuous production of identical, standardized items, often on an assembly line. Think cars, canned drinks, smartphones, basic chemicals. Production flows continuously, often 247.
This must be the most efficient for massive quantities. Lowest cost per item.
By far. Once that line is running, the cost per unit is incredibly low because of the sheer volume.
There's always a but.
The initial setup cost is astronomical. You need huge investment in specialized machinery and factory layout, and it's extremely inflexible. If you want to change the product, it's a massive, expensive job. Plus, the work itself is highly repetitive and can be very demotivating for the workers on the line.
So job for uniqueness, batch for variety and volume, flow for mass production of standard items. The choice really shapes the business.
Absolutely. And underpinning all these methods is the drive for productivity.
Productivity, getting more out for what you put in, right?
Exactly. It's about how efficiently a business uses its resources, its inputs, like labor or capital, to generate outputs, the goods or services.
You often hear about labor productivity, output per worker.
That's a key measure. You calculate it simply. Total output divided by the number of workers over a specific time period.
And why is that so important? Why track it?
Because if you can increase productivity, get more output from the same number of workers, or the same output with fewer workers, your labor costs per unit falls.
Which makes you more competitive. You can lower prices or increase profits.
Precisely. It's a fundamental driver of business success.
So how do businesses actually increase productivity?
Several ways. Better training can make workers more skilled and faster. Investing in new, more efficient technology is a big one. Reorganizing the workflow or factory layout can eliminate wasted time and movement. And sometimes financial incentives like piece rate pay or bonuses can motivate people to work harder or smarter.
Lots of levers to pull.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this focus on efficiency leads nicely into part 3, lean production techniques. Sounds trendy.
It's been a huge philosophy in manufacturing and services for decades now, originating largely from Japanese companies like Toyota. Lean production is all about maximizing efficiency by ruthlessly eliminating waste.
Waste, like throwing stuff away.
That's part of it, but waste in lean terms is much broader. It's anything that consumes resources but doesn't add value for the customer. So wasted materials, yes, but also wasted time waiting around. Unnecessary movement of people or products, producing faulty items that need rework, holding excessive stock.
Okay, so it's about streamlining everything.
Exactly. Cut out everything that doesn't add value, and a core technique for doing this is just-in-time production, or JIT.
Just in time. Delivering materials exactly when they're needed. No big stockpile.
That's it. Instead of warehouses full of parts, materials arrive maybe daily or even hourly, right when they're needed on the production line. And finished goods are made pretty much to order, not built up in huge inventories.
Wow. The savings must be huge. Less storage space needed, less money tied up in stock, less risk of stock getting old or damaged.
Significant savings, yes.
Another but.
It makes you incredibly reliant on your suppliers and your logistics. If a truck carrying essential parts gets stuck in traffic, or a supplier has a problem.
Your whole production line could stop because there's no buffer stock.
Exactly. It requires super reliable suppliers, excellent communication, and really smooth logistics. High efficiency, but potentially high risk if the supply chain falters.
A tightrope walk. What's another key lean idea? Kaizen.
Kaizen, yes. It's a Japanese word meaning continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement, just trying harder all the time.
It's more cultural than that. Kaizen is about fostering an environment where everyone in the company, from the CEO down to the cleaner, is constantly looking for small, incremental ways to make things better.
Small ways.
Yeah. It's not always about big, dramatic changes. It's about lots of small improvements suggested by the people actually doing the jobs, who often know best where the little inefficiencies or problems lie, empowering workers to spot issues and suggest solutions.
So using everyone's brain power to constantly tweak and improve. I like that. The source mentioned something called the 5S method here too.
Ah, yes. 5S is often part of Kaizen. It's a simple system for workplace organization, basically good housekeeping for efficiency. The S's stand for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain.
So get rid of clutter, organize what's left, keep it clean, make rules to keep it that way, and make it a habit.
That's the gist. A clean, organized workplace reduces wasted time looking for things, improves safety, and just makes processes flow better.
Makes sense. So why embrace lean? What's the ultimate goal?
Competitive advantage, really. Lower costs from less waste, often better quality because processes are constantly scrutinized, and usually faster response times to customer orders because you're not waiting through huge inventories. It makes you leaner and more agile.
Very powerful. Okay, we've covered how things are made efficiently. The final piece, part 4, has to be quality.
Absolutely critical. You can be super efficient, but if the product is rubbish, you're not going to last long. Quality is simply about making sure your product or service consistently meets or hopefully exceeds customer needs and expectations.
Why is it so important? Seems obvious, but let's spell it out.
Well, good quality is your best advertisement. Happy customers come back, they tell their friends, that builds loyalty and a positive reputation. It often allows you to charge a higher price, too.
Gives you an edge over competitors.
A massive edge. Conversely, poor quality is disastrous. It leads to wasted materials and effort making faulty goods, costs money dealing with returns and complaints, and worst of all, it destroys your reputation.
Yeah, think about a car recall or food contamination scare. The damage can be huge and long-lasting.
Exactly. Poor quality isn't just an operational problem. It hits your brand, your sales, your bottom line. It costs a fortune.
So getting quality right is non-negotiable. How do businesses actually manage it? Are there different ways?
Yes, several approaches. One traditional method is quality control. This usually involves checking or inspecting the finished product after it's made to catch defects before they reach the customer.
Like inspectors at the end of the assembly line.
Right, spotting the mistakes. A more modern approach is quality assurance. This focuses on prevention. It involves building quality checks and procedures into the production process at various stages, aiming to stop defects from happening in the first place.
Trying to get it right first time.
That's the goal. Then there's an even broader philosophy called total quality management, or TQM. This isn't just a set of checks, it's a whole company culture where everyone is responsible for quality in everything they do. It involves continuous improvement, customer focus, teamwork.
Making quality part of everyone's job description.
Essentially, yes. And finally, you often see businesses aiming for quality standards, like ISO 9000.
Those letters you see on company websites.
Right. ISO 9000 is an internationally recognized standard for quality management systems. Getting certified shows customers and partners that you have robust, documented processes in place to ensure consistent quality. It's a mark of credibility.
So tying it all together, achieving high quality isn't just about avoiding problems. It's a proactive way to make your product stand out. Maybe become its unique selling point, its USP.
Absolutely. Quality is deeply intertwined with strategy and competitiveness.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a journey through business operations. We've covered a lot.
We really have. From how size matters with economies and diseconomies of scale.
Both internal and external ones, yeah. And how technology is changing everything, from farms to factories to finance.
And the core ingredients: land, labor, capital, and enterprise, and how businesses mix labor and capital.
And the different ways of actually making things job, batch, and flow production, and that crucial measure of efficiency, productivity.
Followed by those modern lean techniques like JIT and kaizen, focusing on eliminating waste.
And wrapping up with the absolute necessity of quality and how companies manage it through control, assurance, TQM, and standards.
These are exactly the kind of fascinating practical topics you'd get stuck into in Unit 5 of the IGCSE Business EdXL course.
And hopefully you can see how understanding this stuff helps you make sense of the world. Why are some things handmade and pricey? Why are others mass-produced and cheap? How do companies constantly try to get better and faster?
It's like looking under the bonnet of the economy, isn't it? Seeing how the engine actually works. It's about problem solving, managing resources, turning ideas into tangible things people need and want.
This deep dive really is just a glimpse, but I hope it's shown you how relevant and, honestly, how interesting studying business operations can be. It's about the doing part of business.
Which leads us to a final thought for you.
Yeah, try this. Think about something you bought or used recently. Maybe your breakfast cereal, your favorite app, the journey you took to school.
Based on everything we've just talked about, how do you think that product was made or that service delivered? Was it likely job, batch, or flow production?
What kind of technologies probably played a role? What makes its quality good or maybe not so good? And how do you guess the company tries to ensure that quality?
Thinking about these questions is exactly what studying business operations helps you do. It equips you to analyze and understand the complex processes behind everyday life. We really hope this preview has sparked your interest in Unit 5 and the IGCSE business course.